Yes, Chairperson, you are.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson. Honourable members and all officials and our support colleagues, good afternoon. This is the 24th of October 2024 and the Committee on Social Development's negotiating mandate meeting on the Older Persons Amendment Bill. Colleagues, can I please ask with your indulgence that we take a short break ahead of our formally starting? If we can perhaps reconvene at 2:15. Will that be in order with members?
Chairperson, yes, that would be in order. I would second that suggestion. It's Member Boyson.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson. And I saw a thumbs up there from Member Kasim as well. Thank you, colleagues. Please don't go offline. We will then reconvene at 2:15. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
and welcome back. Members, according to our agenda, I will now allow for introductions. My name is Wendy Kaiser-Philander and the chairperson on social development. Honorable members, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair. Can you hear me? Chairperson, can you hear me? Colleagues, can you hear me?
Chair, it is
Member
quite
Kam-
soft.
Member Comfort, yes, we can hear you. You can just speak up.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Chairperson, my name is Francois Kamper. I'm part of Social Development Committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Member Boyson, and I'm also a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, colleagues. My name is Benedicta van Minnen, a member of this committee.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Donita Stevens, and I'm a member of this committee.
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
all.
I'm
Aisha
Leon van
Kasim,
Wyk.
a
I'm a
member of the
member of this committee.
Afternoon, members. The chair is trying to log in. She's going to, yeah, it seems as if there's a problem with her connectivity.
That is noted. Thank you, Namonde.
Good afternoon, members. I do apologize. It seems like I've got a shaky connection. I'll just leave my camera off. I lost you there at Member Comfort. You were introducing yourself.
Good afternoon, Chair. Colleagues, my name is Francois. I'm part of the committee.
Thank you, member.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Member Boyson, and I'm a member of the committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Donita Stevens, and I'm a member of this committee.
Not sure if I was heard. Good afternoon. I'm Leon van Wyk, a member of this committee.
Good afternoon. Was heard as well. Aisha Kasim, a member of this committee. Thank you.
Member van Minnen. Namonde, I was just offline there for a moment. Member van Minnen did introduce herself.
No, Chair.
Member van Minnen. Perhaps the members also got some connectivity issues. Colleagues, let's move along. Can I ask the officials to kindly introduce themselves?
Good
Afternoon,
afternoon, Honourable Chair. Sorry, you can proceed. I will go after you.
Pardon me.
Afternoon, Chairperson. My name is Romeo Marstorp, legal advisor and assigned to this committee. And good afternoon to the other colleagues as well and the rest of the members. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Advocate.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair and members and other colleagues. My name is Charles Jordan, Chief Director from the Department of Social Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. You're most welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and everybody else. My name is Shanaz Seria. I'm a legal advisor in the Department of the Premier. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Ms. Seria.
Thank you.
Then our procedural staff.
Good afternoon, members. My name is Ben Daz. I'm the Senior Procedural Officer for the Standing Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daza.
Afternoon, Chair, afternoon, members, afternoon, colleagues. My name is Nomonde Chamze, Procedural Officer for the Standing Committee.
Thank you very much. Any other colleagues? I don't see any further desire to introduce themselves. Colleagues, then the purpose of today's meeting is to consider the negotiating mandate of the Older Persons Amendment Bill B11B of 2022, the NCOP. Colleagues, you have received the matrix. That is the one document that you should have in front of you at this point in time. The matrix contains the submissions that we received during the public participation process. And I will now ask members, based on the input that we received during that process, also for members to give their input based on the submissions. Colleagues, I am going to deal with that document page by page, and please do direct my attention by raising your hand if you want to give any comment or input to the matrix itself. At point 1, you will see there was input received from the Western Cape Older Persons Forum. Ms. Seria.
Chair, thank you very much. I would just like to say that the Western Cape government prepared comments on the Older Persons Amendment Bill, and these comments were prepared in response to an invitation from the Select Committee on Social Services in the NCOP. The NCOP advertised the call for comment in early September, and members of the public were required to submit comments on the bill by the 18th of October, which the Western Cape government did. So our comments are actually with the Select Committee as we speak. I did attend the public hearings on Friday on the 18th. Our comments had already been submitted to the NCOP at that stage already. And generally, we do submit to the Standing Committee when there is a call for comment on the bill. In this case, there were public hearings. I attended the public hearings, but for some reason, I didn't appreciate the fact that I actually had to submit the comments as well to this committee, the written comments, that is. I did see that members of the department were in attendance at the public hearings on the day, on the 18th. So what I want to say is that I then today sent comments to Ms. Jamche, the procedural officer, and also to Advocate Marstorp. But they are late, and unfortunately, you know, I say that they are late, but I would wonder whether these comments could be taken into account for purposes of the final mandate, although, you know, the Select Committee now already has them, so it seems to, it is with them already. So I just wanted to draw Chair's attention to this situation.
I see. Syria,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. If I understand you correctly, you have submitted comments on behalf of the Western Cape government by the due time indicated by the select committee, but not necessarily by our Western Cape Parliament process, which was due by the 23rd of October. Do I understand you correctly?
Chair, I wasn't aware of the date for the 23rd of October. If Chair can enlighten me as to what that date was. What was it for? Was it a call for written comment? Because I think I might have missed that one.
Yeah, that's correct. Part of the advertisement was that members of the public or stakeholders had an opportunity up until the 23rd to provide written input.
Oh, then I take full responsibility for that, Chair, because I did not see that that advert. I was only aware of the public hearings on the 18th.
Yeah. Ms. Syria, I'm going to heavily rely on our procedural support just to guide us in that regard, because it does make a difference in the sense that your comment is with the select committee, but currently not with this committee. So, Ms. Jamke or Mr. Daza, if you can kindly just advise the committee in that regard, please.
Chairperson, thank you very much. It's a difficult situation. We've never been in this situation before, but it is up to the committee because we understand that there's been presentation by the provincial department at all public hearings. So now the committee must decide, but the departments must also assist us which document now, because there's one that they submitted with the previous during the public hearing process, but there's another one for today. Which one, if the committee decides to consider their document, because there are two documents, if I understand. Maybe Mr. Jordan can also assist now, because there's two documents, which is confusing, because we always advise the committee to consider the department's input. Our other challenge is that the inputs are already with the select committee, because the departmental inputs, they assist the committee in preparing the stance of the province on this bill. But now the departmental input is already with the select committee, which has the power to change the bill. So it can be a duplication if we both submit the same thing, the committee submits the same proposal that the department has already given to the select committee. So the committee must decide now what it wants to do. But it's the challenge is that the department also has two documents, because I understand that there is submissions they made to the committee before today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daza. I was going that route to just also inquire from Mr. Jordan if the input that they have provided coincides with the input that Ms. Syria provided to the select committee. Mr. Jordan, can you please enlighten us?
Yeah, Honourable Member, there was a formal submission given to the Select Committee that was done via our legal services, which is Ms. Syria. So that is then actually the document that must be used. Yeah, Shanas, when was that handed in? Can you recall? I can't recall that date. It was a
When
while
was it
ago.
handed into the select committee? It was handed in on the 16th actually of October.
Yeah, so that document is the one that actually reflects the government and the department's inputs.
Okay, and so if do I understand you correctly? When Mr. Daza says there are two documents, I'm a bit confused now, because we both relying on the same set of comments for both purposes, but
I think maybe the confusion would be that we did our own presentations at the public hearings. If I look at this matrix, the matrix is information that came from our presentation about clauses of the bill. So it is all valid issues, but as a department, the HOD and the minister signed off the one that you have submitted. So that would be then the formal legal one, if we talk about one document.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, colleagues. Member Van Wyk, I see your hand.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just looking for a way around this issue, should we not, in the submission that we then make clear acknowledgement of what has already been submitted, but then just indicate that these are further submissions that are being made that we are about to go through according to that matrix then? Is that not just a way of dealing with it, by acknowledging that there have been certain admissions already?
Thank you for your suggestion, Member Van Wyk. That's why I'm saying I, myself, and colleagues, our procedural staff also indicated we haven't dealt with matters similar to this, and we need to ensure that we deal with this in the correct fashion. Mr. Marstorp or Advocate Marstorp, do you perhaps have any input at this stage? I'm not sure whether you have encountered a similar situation before, just to advise the committee accordingly, so that in terms of process and procedure, we do not make a mistake in that regard.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think whatever I want to say now, Chair, is in fact been well put by Member Van Wyk, because I was thinking along the same line, and it is the following. Just latching on to what Mr. Jordan said, I hear Mr. Jordan saying that the document they have, or the presentations they've made, are largely similar, or are similar, or are in fact the views as expressed by the legal services. One, that's firstly. I am also hearing that there appears then to be one document, and if not one, documents speaking to the same issues coming from government side. Yes. That's the second point that I'm satisfied about. Thirdly, we are at the negotiating stage at the moment. Take note, at the negotiating stage in the parliamentary legislative process. In this regard, government, in the form of the department, and maybe even in the form of legal services at the Department of the Premier, just as the submissions from the civil society, they are but one of the stakeholders in the parliamentary legislative process. So that we, as the standing committee, must continue with our process to produce a negotiating mandate, which mandate will end up at the select committee, where another stakeholder, WCG, have already submitted their views. If this committee in our legislative process wants to propose certain amendments, then it is by right entitled to do that in this process. The documents, that is WCG's document, in the guise of the department's input, in the guise of probably the same mysterious input, will then dovetail with our negotiating mandate eventually at the select committee. So it seems, Chairperson, to answer your question directly, it seems as if we are going to the same destination but from different routes.
Yeah.
So I don't foresee any procedural frowns in this regard. We must just still satisfy our process here, and in this regard, I want to suggest, I think Mr. Member Van Wyk has said the same, that maybe a prelude, a preamble, an introduction, or a narrative to our negotiating mandate can suggest that we are, if we are, in agreement with the purport, with the provisions, the effect, or the spirit of the input made by Masiria and or the department. If they are divergent or in any way contradictory, then we should say that. But why I'm saying that is just to draw a link between our mandate and the document that is now in front of myself and Ms. Yamke, and clearly, according to Mr. Jordan, a document they are familiar with, so that there's a synergy between all the information. We're working towards one destination, but coming from different routes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Advocate Marstorp, thank you very much. You've been very helpful in this instance. Colleagues, I am gonna, based on the inputs received, Ms. Syria, colleagues has just been furnished with a document that you have referred to, and obviously they did not have the opportunity to peruse and establish exactly the correlation between what we have already received. Can I then please ask you to just take the members or the committee through the input in terms of the stance and pertaining to the bill itself? I'm not sure whether you would perhaps be able be in a position to flag the presentation, but if you can please just take us through the document, please.
Well, I shall try my best.
I see there's a document
it was
on the
prepared a while
screen.
ago, and I haven't actually, I mean, if I were taking you through this, I must say that I haven't refreshed my memory on the document as such, in the sense of having to present it, but I'll try my best. So let's see how far we get. Let me just preface what I'm going to say, Chair, by saying that we, in preparing these comments, which comprise the input of several departments, Provincial Treasury, the Department of Social Development, comments that they had prepared in relation to a previous iteration of this bill in May 2023, and also based on a presentation that they submitted to the Standing Committee, I think it was in September or early October this year. So that is the relevant inputs, also brief inputs from the Department of Health and Wellness. The general thrust of the document is, as stated by Mr. Jordan some while ago, and throughout the process, in fact, that the department supports the bill. So the Western Cape government has taken the same stance. The bill is supported to the extent of the comments provided on the bill. The primary difficulty, for want of a better word, is the question of implementation and the severe budgetary constraints around the bill. So you'll see in the general comments, I wonder, I don't have, Ms. Jamche, I don't have control over the document. So I'm going to have to ask you to either relinquish control to me, or perhaps just, as I move through the presentation, for you to move up and down. So if you can turn to page 1, you'll see that we say sorry, we've lost it now. Are you asking me to put it up, Ms. Jamche?
Yes, I think, Ms. Syria, that will work. Yes, thank
okay,
you.
sure. Let me do that. Thank you. Give me one moment.
Thank you, colleagues.
Is everyone able to see now?
Yes,
Yes,
Ms.
we
Sirian,
can.
we can see.
Thank you very much. So on this particular page here, this is under the general, sorry, and I must say thank you very much for the indulgence, Chair. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you. On this page, you'll see that we talk about the costs of implementing the bill, and that they relate to. We asked the question whether the question of additional costing was considered, because due to the impact of the bill on the provinces. We know that a socioeconomic impact assessment was conducted at national level, but we ask whether the question of additional costing was actually taken into consideration in the socioeconomic impact assessment. We also see that given the serious financial implications of the bill, it should be that the Financial and Fiscal Commission also be consulted, given the intergovernmental fiscal impacts of the bill. In the definition of caregiver, we said that it's proposed that the bill provides for better guidance on the role, status, and responsibilities of persons in general, not only caregivers as defined. There's a lot to go through, and I don't know whether the committee has sufficient time at its disposal, because the meeting's only till 4. So what I'm doing is that I'm going to try and rely on my memory and see whether I can just highlight the important things in the bill. I think I recall Mr. Jordan talking about the issue of caregiver in the public hearings. So this echoes what he's already said. We say that the scope of the definition of caregiver is too restrictive. It only acknowledges family members and those persons with accredited qualifications to be caregivers, and whether this could mean that any other person providing care, even with the consent of the older person, would be acting unlawfully. Then we had some technical input on the definition of Director General. We said that we need to have a more generic definition of Director General, because, you know, as time progresses, the titles of various officials and naming of departments change, and so we're calling for more generic definitions to be given to definitions such as Director General in the bill. I see here that we had a comment on interdepartmental structure. We had the same comment there. Clause 3D, here we speak about the issue of costing again. And I think, if memory serves, this was the question of the responsibilities that are being placed on the offices of the Premier. I think there was the suggestion that officers of the Premier take the key role. And the question was whether, you know, shouldn't it be a question of the Department of Social Development rather running with, see what we said here, taking responsibility for prioritization in the bill, and having the Department of the Premier approve. I see this one talks about service points, additional costing relating to all the, I think throughout the bill there's this talk of having public service facilities throughout government prioritize older persons. So we were saying that this is also going to be a question of additional resources and that it needs to be prioritized in the bill, that there needs to be, it again speaks to the question of implementation. And here I see this was the comment about the Office of the Premier taking the lead in facilitating and supporting coordination. We said that at the end of the day, it's the Office of the Premier that needs to approve all the plans, but it is the Social Development Department that should play the lead role in facilitating and coordinating. Then there was the question of traditional practices and the question of traditional practices in the bill as it relates to allegations of witchcraft against older persons. We said that we need to be able to understand the terminology better, specificity required as to the meaning of taking all measures necessary to eliminate traditional practices. What does that entail? Taking all measures necessary to eliminate. And this speaks to what we would suggest along the lines of providing sufficient clarity, because the wording in question is too broad. And we don't want people to take the law into their own hands, for example. There's also substantial legislation on dealing with traditional practices in legislation, for example, the Traditional Health Practitioners Act, and we were calling for better alignment with terminology in the Older Persons Bill and legislation dealing with similar terms in the legislation dealing with traditional health practitioners. Just to mention, Chair, that we didn't have any serious constitutional issues regarding the bill, and no, significant comments that impact significantly on the legality of the bill. Responsibilities of older persons. I think, if memory serves, we said here that the position or the positioning of this clause in the bill could be better placed. Instead of talking about the responsibilities of older persons, I recall in the previous standing committee, the standing committee, the first standing committee meeting, my colleague Advocate Maasdorp was talking about whether this particular clause was able to be enforced. We have a similar concern about placing responsibilities on older persons, irrespective of their ability to take on those kinds of responsibilities contemplated. Do they have the necessary mental and physical capacity across the board to take on these responsibilities? So we were suggesting here that instead of referring to the responsibilities of older persons, in order to harness their collective wisdom, why not place it in the section dealing with the rights of older persons, so that you recognize that older persons have certain rights as far as their knowledge and experience is concerned, and that we said here, it suggested that those clauses refer to the rights to that they be repositioned in the bill in section 7B, which refers to the right to participate in intergenerational programs, because there are rights that recognize the specific experiences of older persons and what they're able to contribute to society, but rather than place onerous responsibilities on all of them as a blanket provision, why not hone in and reword and include in the section dealing with the rights of older persons? On termination or suspension of community-based care or services, we said that to prevent any disadvantage to older persons who stand to be affected by the termination of services, that we insert reasonable time periods for the notification procedures. As to the compulsory training for caregivers, we again reiterate that it boils down to a costing issue, and that there are fiscal constraints, and that compulsory training for caregivers be seen in terms of the adequate additional resources necessary to provide departments with the ability to perform their functions in this regard. And then similarly with we say here regarding home-based care and frail care, we said that there's no definition of frail care. However, a frail older person is defined in the Principal Act as an older person who is in need of 24-hour care. We seek to clarify as to the meaning of frail care in the context of persons providing home-based care and frail care and the training requirements, if any, of such persons. And clause 10, which deals with the obligations on social workers. It also boils down to a formal costing issue, and that additional resources be provided to allow departments to perform these functions as regards the training of social workers. Clause 13 was a question of correcting terminology in the bill. Police official and not the police, because I think there is a definition of police official in the bill. The removal of an older person to temporary safe care. Also a question of costing, and that additional resources be provided to ensure temporary safe care placement. And these figures that we've cited here are in line with the presentation of the Provincial Department of Social Development. The proposal in the bill is for temporary safe care to be provided for a period not exceeding 6 months. This again also was a question of costs needed to accommodate an older person in need of temporary care. And we also said that the bill needs to identify the persons or the authority responsible for the costs of temporary safe care for a period not exceeding 6 months. Obligation to notify a social worker or manager regarding abuse. This was also a costing issue. And for departments to be provided the necessary resources to ensure temporary safe care placement. Rule 17 was a correction. The section quoted in the bill appeared to deal with something different to what was contemplated. It didn't deal with the charges, but dealt with something else contemplated in the Criminal Procedure Act, and we asked that that be corrected or looked at. On the definition of physical abuse, we noted that there were quite comprehensive proposals regarding the definition of physical abuse. In fact, there were comprehensive definitions of the various heads of abuse. But what concerned us was that in seeking to expand on the definitions of physical abuse and in inclusion of the terms of sexual abuse, emotional, verbal, psychological abuse, and economic abuse, and also harassment, and then there's also spiritual abuse. We are very pleased to see all the expanding proposals on these different heads of abuse, but we noted that the definitions of, for example, harassment, spiritual abuse, were said to be said to have the meaning of those terms in the Domestic Violence Act. But what we're saying is that while the Domestic Violence Act sets out comprehensively definitions for those heads of abuse, we shouldn't restrict the definitions in the bill in its present form to only referring to the definitions of harassment, for example, and spiritual abuse and economic abuse as it appears in the Domestic Violence Act. The bill needs to say that it includes those kinds of abuse, because what the Domestic Violence Act contemplates is for those instances of abuse to be committed within the context of a domestic relationship. And also, if memory serves, the term complainant also in the Domestic Violence Act refers to a person that's in a domestic relationship. So whereas, all these different heads of abuse are very specific and they expand on the meaning of abuse of an older person in the bill, we must be careful not to confine it specifically to the domestic violence context, because it could so happen that a caregiver commits, for example, or rather harasses an older person while giving care and is not in a domestic relationship necessarily with that person. So we cautioned against the restrictivity of the different definitions of abuse in the bill, and that it not be limited to the Domestic Violence Act, but that it includes the different heads of abuse under the Domestic Violence Act. I could say that this would be one of the more important headings, or rather comments on the legal questions in our comments. Chairperson, that's all I can say for the moment. You can see that our comments end with this question of the different categories of abuse. I have tried to do as much justice as I can within the, current circumstances and the constraints under which I'm operating. What I can say is that I think the comments need to be circulated to all the members so that they can at least, have a better chance of looking at our comments. Because I've just flown through them now, and in all fairness to all the members, they should have a fair chance to consider the comments. I am available to answer any questions if there are any. But that, between now and the time when the final mandate is constructed, that our comments please be taken into account. And then once again, my sincere apologies. It wasn't a deliberate attempt not to send you the comments. It's one of those matters that, what we generally do, I can say, is in most matters, we tend to send similar comments to both the select committee in the NCOP and also the standing committee. That's what we generally do in all our matters.
Correct. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Ms. Syria. We do appreciate giving us insight into the submission that was made to the NCOP Select Committee. Member
you, Chair.
Boyson, I see your hand. Just before, member, I give you, is that a question or comment, Member Boyson?
It is a comment, Chairperson.
You may proceed, Member Boyson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm sitting with two devices in front of me, the matrix as well as the presentation as it was conducted by Ms. Syria. And Chairperson, my comment is there are no substantive contradictions between the two. So in essence, Chairperson, I think the recommendation made by Member Van Wyk and the inputs by Advocate Marsdorf pave the road for us that we are not contradicting each other. So I would go with that recommendation of Member Van Wyk.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson. And I was just gonna ask Mr. Jordan, just for the record, so that it reflects as well. That was my same sentiment as Ms. Syria went through the document. Mr. Jordan, just for the record, are there any contradictions that you can pick up?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. First, want to congratulate Ms. Syria for doing this presentation so on the spot, but it is 100%. I have had sight of this document that she has presented, and that's also where our presentations come from. So there's no contradictions. Our focus was more on costing. Ms. Syria has a little bit more detail on definitions and stuff, but otherwise we support 100% what's been presented to you, and there's not really any major, there is no contradictions with what's already in the matrix. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Jordan, for that confirmation, and that does make life a bit easier for the committee at this point in time. Much appreciation. Mr. Jordan, having given you an opportunity now, are there any further input from your side as the department?
No, Honourable Chair, we are happy with the inputs we've provided and with the way forward as the committee see fit to take it forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, Advocate Marsdorf, is this where you want to go in, or can I ask members for their input?
Chairperson, I'm in your hands, but maybe just to exploit this opportunity, I can maybe also just thank Ms. Advocate Syria for her input, and especially in the point that she made that from our side, insofar as the legality or then the constitutionality of this bill is concerned, I have no concerns. Clearly, it seems to me from the matrix, as well as the input from Advocate Syria, that the proposed amendments are really policy considerations, if you like, and it will then be up to this committee to make that call. But to answer your question, there's nothing from my side that needs to be flagged as constitutionally problematic, Chair. Thank you.
So much for that reassurance as well. Advocate Maasdorp, we do
And
appreciate.
Chair, if I could just maybe jump in here again to just put a rider. Chair will
You may,
remember.
Advocate.
Chair will remember during the briefing stage, when National was present, I had a bit of a concern, and I say concern in inverted commas. I'm sure you saw that on regarding clause 6, which in the bill seeks to dish out all manner of responsibilities and onuses and obligations on the older people. They must mentor the younger people, and they must take responsibility for younger people, and all those niceties, those noble objectives and idealistic stuff. And my observation at the time, which I will just briefly repeat, remained, namely, that there's no hint in this bill on how that will be enforced. It serves no purpose in the bill if there's no measure or hint of how it will be implemented or given effect to. I can read the same bill without clause 6 in there, and it won't change the bill or the preamble or the memo and the objects of the bill at all. It was a nice thing to put in, but it's not good law because it is not implementable. So I'm saying this bill has no constitutional issues for me, but clause 6 is tautologous. It is superfluous. It is redundant. Life can be the same without it, but it's this committee's call. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Advocate Maasdorp, and your comment with regards to clause 6 are then also duly noted and recorded as such. Honourable members, having said that, I will now draw your attention to the matrix document as was provided to honourable members, and I will now be asking for members' input based on what was received and the bill, your comments as well. Members, on page 1, are there any member that would wish to make some input?
I'm covered, Chair.
Can I just ask that you just assist me in monitoring the hands? I'm doing the best on my side. Member Boyson, I heard your voice there.
I'm covered with page 1, Chairperson.
Thank
I'm
you
happy.
Thank you so much. I don't see any further hands or anyone that would want to give some input on page 1. Colleagues, can we go over to page 2?
Again, Chairperson, I'm satisfied. Page 2.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson. There's a thumbs up from Member Van Wyk as well. Page 3, honourable members. No hands. Colleagues, page 4.
I'm happy, Chairperson. Member Boyson.
Thank you, Member Boyson. Duly noted. There's a thumbs up as well from, I'm not sure which member it is. I can unfortunately not see the thumbs up on my side as to which member it is, but there's no objection or indication for comment. Members, page 5. No further input. We then move along to page 6.
Once again, we covered, Chairperson.
Thank you, Member Boyson. Page 7. Members, page 8. No further input or comments.
We're happy, Chairperson.
Thank you. Page 9. Can I just try to determine as well, Ms. Jumfip, can you please just advise us based on point 6, page 8, up until page 9, those other matters that were raised during the public hearings itself, are those matters then now incumbent upon the committee to refer to the various government departments in that regard? Because it doesn't necessarily have any relation to the legislation that we're dealing with. You can just
Yes, Chair.
advise
Yes, Chair,
us.
those were service delivery matters. We can't include them in the negotiating mandate report.
Yes.
So the committee will have to deal with those, like health. The health issues will have to be directed to the Standing Committee on Health and Social Development, and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jamke. And that is also what we have indicated at those respective hearings as well. Member Boyson, I recognize you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, we did agree, and I think it is just something that we now need to take forward. When these various committees will be sitting, you know, whether it's the Committee of Health, whether it's the Committee of POCs, we then in those committees, we who were part of the public participations, is then to make recommendations within the individual committees to dissect that to the various departments and or local governments where these issues were raised as a recommendation. So we don't include it here, but individually in the committee settings, we would then disseminate to the relevant departments and or local governments.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson. We duly note your comment in this regard, and I think that is the commitment that was made as well. That is what we can do within our respective committees. Member Van Wyk.
Thanks, Chair. I think just with that reference to clause 6 by Advocate Marsdorf, then you know, I would suggest that we go along with what he's saying, is that we then do mention that
Yes.
clause is then really of no purpose at all.
Correct. Thank you very much, Member Van Wyk. And at this point, colleagues, you will now then have your bill in front of you. And perhaps just for our record as well, all members are in agreement that we adopt and agree as the committee with the matrix as provided. There were no further inputs then from any member with regards to the matrix. In order, members?
I so support, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, members. With the bill itself, I will now be going through the bill clause by clause, and then when we come to the sixth one, we can just import or include the comments that Advocate Marsdorp has made as well. Colleagues, any further input or comment on clause 1? No hands. Clause 2. Clause 3. I think we had the privilege of having this bill with us for quite some time now. So I'm sure members would feel free to give input, if any. Clause 4.
We're happy, Chair.
Thank you very much. Clause 5.
I think
We're
that's
happy, Chair.
fine.
Thank you. Clause 6.
Chairperson,
Yes, Member Boyson.
based on what Advocate Marsdorf have raised regarding clause 6, I think that is probably the decision we need to take on whether it's mute or we just write it as it is included in the bill. I'm not sure.
Yeah, members, let me just also draw your notice that this is national legislation. So us as the committee, we cannot make changes to the bill, but we can suggest amendments to the bill. So it's only the NCOP Select Committee that can make the necessary changes thereto. But based on the comment made by Advocate Marstorp, that will then be regarded as an amendment. Are we in agreement, colleagues? Member Boyson?
Yes, agreed.
Yes, I was going to say then we agree accordingly, Chairperson. Thank you.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much, Members Stevens and Van Wyk. Duly noted and recorded. Members Clause 7.
We go with it, Chair.
Thank you, Member. Clause 8.
Yep, yeah.
Clause 9.
We go with it, Chair.
Thank you. Clause 10. Clause 11.
Fine.
Thank you. Clause 12.
Also fine, Chair.
Clause 13.
Also fine, Chair.
14.
We go with it, Chair.
Thank you. Clause 15.
We go with it, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. Clause 16. Happiness, colleagues?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
Clause
Yes, Chairperson.
17.
Yeah.
Clause 18.
Yes,
Clause
Chair.
19.
We go with it, Chair.
Thank you. Clause 20.
Yes, Chair.
Your thumbs up. Clause 21.
We go with it.
'22. '23. Jamke, there is the end of it, is it? Colleagues, are we then in agreement that there's no further amendments?
Yes, we agree, Chair.
Agree, Chair.
Agreed.
Thank you
Supported,
very
Chair.
much. Thank you very much, honorable members. Now, Ms. Jamke, I would now also just ask you in terms of our mandating procedure, is it at this point that the committee now makes a decision whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain?
Yes, Chair, or support the bill with amendments.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jamke. Do you have draft mandate that you can flag for us, please? Draft mandate report. Member Boyson?
Chairperson, whilst we're at this point, it's just interesting to note as well, Chairperson, for the record, is that at all the public hearings, there was not a single person that was against the amendments of this bill. So from our experience, Chairperson, and from the discussions as members of this committee, there has not been a single objection against this bill, just for the record, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson, and it was indeed a very pleasant and insightful process to embark on, and your comment is then also duly noted in this committee as well. We've lost the draft report, Ms. Jamke. If you can please just reflag that for us. If you can perhaps just make it a bit bigger. Honourable members, can you read the report? Member Boyson?
Chairperson, yes, Chairperson,
Yeah.
I've read it and it's a true reflection, Chairperson.
I agree, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed,
Colleagues.
Chair.
Yes, Chair, agree, Chair. All comments was what reflect from the public hearings was of the municipalities was various state departments, but the supportable.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for your input and your unanimous concurrence thereof. Ms. Jamke, do you need me to read out the committee report?
Sorry, Chair. Can I?
Mr. Daza?
Yes, Chair. I was under the impression that the committee is supporting the bill with the proposed amendments.
Amendments.
Yes, now the report that we have flighted, it just says support the bill. It
Yes.
means to the NCOP that you support the bill as it was submitted to the province, not
Yes.
with any. So I would, the impression I got from the discussion is that the committee would support the bill with proposed amendments as the committee has discussed.
Thank you very much for alerting us to that, Mr. Daza. I think committee members are just so happy and excited that we could deal with this afternoon. Can we just have the report on again? Colleagues, can I also just ask for the record, the submission made by Advocate Syria, is it then the concurrence of this committee that we see that submission as the stance of the province on the bill, together with the relevant submissions that was received from the public during the hearing, as well as the comment made or the input made by Advocate Maasdorp. Are you in agreement that that is then our stance as the province?
Agreed.
With the departmental input as well, also being part of the original matrix as well. Member Boyson?
Agree.
Yes, Chairperson, I would agree to that.
Thank you very
Yeah, I
much.
was
Agree
with
to that,
the
Chair.
amendments.
Thank you very much, honourable members. That seems like a unanimous concurrence as well. Ms. Jamke, we are jumping around a bit. I just need to settle my eyes as to where we need to be. Do I need to read this out, or can members read through it and agree, Ms. Jamke? Just give me an indication.
You can read it out, Chair.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Then our committee report during the negotiating mandate stage. Report of the Standing Committee on Social Development on the Older Persons Amendment Bill B11B 2022 of the NCOP, dated the 24th of October 2024 as follows. The Standing Committee on Social Development, having considered the subject of the Older Persons Amendment Bill B11B of 2022 of the NCOP, refer to the committee in accordance with Standing Rule 217, confers on the Western Cape's delegation in the NCOP the authority to support the bill with the following amendments. I need to read them out as well, Ms. Jamke?
You don't
No.
have to, Chair. You don't have to, but the members need to adopt the report.
Sure. Can we then just move up a bit so that we can see the entire submission? Ms. Jamke, just a question from my side. The input made by Advocate Marsdorp and the submission made by Advocate Syria, will they now also reflect in this report as part of the committee report?
I think the input share that is made by Advocate Marsdorp, that clause 6, it will have to reflect.
Yes.
But the one for Advocate Syria, maybe we can have a line in our report that says that we support the submissions made by the Western Cape government on this bill.
That be sufficient.
Thank you.
And that will be sufficient. Advocate Marsdorp, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you don't mind, could I maybe just ask my colleague Jamke to focus on clause 6? I just want to see if the wording captures the essence of what I propose.
Just go back to clause 6, please.
I think I will have to insert clause 6, Chair. It was not inserted.
Okay.
Clause 6 is not part of this draft report. I'm
Yes.
going to have to
insert that.
Yes.
And then also the Western Cape government submission as well.
Yes.
Or reference to that.
Yes, Chair.
Monday at
I will amend the report, Chair. I will amend the report and send it to you for an Advocate Marsdorp for approval before you sign it.
Sure. So we don't formally adopt it now.
No, we can adopt it. We can adopt. The members agreed on clause 6 and that line that says that we also support the input made by the Western Cape Provincial government on this bill. So that will form part of the report. So we can adopt the report.
Okay. I see Advocate Syria.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to note that Advocate Marsdorp's submissions and the submissions of the Western Cape government, I wouldn't say that they're at odds, but it's nuanced because I think Advocate Marsdorp adopts a much stronger stance on that clause, and the House supports his view. So we must, I think, just to caution that when the committee says it supports the Western Cape government's comments in its entirety, just be mindful that our clause 6 is different to the proposal of
By
Advocate Maastrops, and that, obviously that's your process, and we will not try to unduly influence you there. And then to just ask whether the comments of the Western Cape government will be attached.
Yes, we can certainly do
to
that.
Your report.
So that the record reflects that we have dealt with it at this committee. As part of the report, it should be attached, yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Syria. Advocate Maastorp, in relation to clause 6.
Yes, Chairperson. Only the section referenced as responsibilities of older persons under a proposed insertion of clause 7 capital A. I'm only proposing that part, not the one regarding protection of rights, but responsibilities.
Yeah, the A, B, and C part under 7A.
Yeah, but only 7 capital A be deleted.
Yeah, only A be deleted.
Only A. Because, like I said, A is unimplementable as it stands.
Yeah.
B and C are less so.
Okay. Advocate Syria?
Yes, absolutely correct, Chair. And yes, our submission on clause 6 deals with both the proposed amendment to section 7A, capital A, and 7B, capital B. So our comment on the proposal in 7B should stand.
So it seems like we've reached concurrence, Advocate Maastorp.
As long as .p agrees with me, I don't mind, Chair.
Thank you very much. Happy that we could. Colleagues, based on the insertion that will be made by our procedural officer and also checking that we do, that it does reflect as to the input made now on clause 6, 7, capital A, Advocate Maastorp's comment on 7, capital A, small a, that insertion will be made with a deletion of that specific line. Colleagues, can I ask for a proposer to adopt the report?
Yes, I'm happy to propose.
Thank you very much, Member Van Wyk. Can I have a seconder?
Yes, Chair. I second that.
Is that Member Stevens?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Stevens. It seems so long that we've seen each other, but we saw each other so frequently. Thank you so much for seconding. And colleagues, then our committee report are then duly adopted. Ms. Jamke, anything else that we need to deal with?
Nothing from my side, Chair. Thank you.
We're covered.
Yes.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for your indulgence. Advocate Syria, Advocate Maastorp, Mr. Charles Jordan, all our other officials, all honorable members that embarked with us on this process, and I believe with a fine-tooth comb went through these submissions to make sure that it is indeed the true reflection. Your efforts are much appreciated. Ms. Jamke, I know it's not an easy task. We appreciate you. You've been extremely busy, and thank you for the sterling work together with Mr. Daza that you've been doing for this committee. It's much appreciated. Colleagues, have a blessed week further. It's almost over and done with, and thus this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you all.
Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Cheers. Bye-bye.